What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's doing well. And today I'm going to be going over the Supreme fictional design collection that I designed throughout the months of July and June. If you don't know, my name is Daniel Herrera. I own a small clothing brand called Apologetic Letters, and I like to do a lot of design stuff on the side. So I do some small clothing brand design. This all started back in January when Corteiz did that design competition by Clint 419. So I said, all right, let's just go for it. Made that, got some good feedback, and I've been doing a new brand or artist every month doing a 10-piece collection for them. This month, I guess, has been Supreme. It's actually funny because today is the first drop of Supreme, so let me know what you guys think of that. But yeah, I'm just gonna get straight into it, show you guys what I made and exactly kind of how I made it, the ideas behind it, and then yeah, would love to hear any feedback. Okay, so here is my 10-piece collection that I designed. I'll be going into each and every piece. This includes 9 separate pieces. I guess some of them have some different colorways. And stay for the end or skip to the end, whatever you want to do, for the accessories. Did a ton of accessories, had a lot of fun with that. Yeah, I tried to do this one a little differently by doing everything in Photoshop as opposed to doing some in Illustrator, some in Photoshop. But starting off today, we have the Supreme Crowbar shirt. Now, obviously, Supreme does a lot of all-over type print designs. I went through a couple different ideas because I noticed that they did a lot of work shirts in this type of fashion. I tried doing it with a puffer, didn't quite work as well as I wanted. Looked at a lot of their kind of iconic pieces, or I guess accessories, really. And the one that stuck to my mind was the crowbar. This released back in, like, I don't know, 2017, 2018. I feel like that was like heavy, complex era with like Emily Oberg and that whole crew.
I think the brand is so fucking powerful that it's making me buy a fucking crowbar.
The crowbar and the Swiss Army knife, that's all you need to trap, man.
Why does everyone want the crowbar?
Because it's a fucking crowbar. Are you fucking serious?
What are you gonna do with it?
Fucking nothing, but I'm gonna own a fucking crowbar now, so that's the fucking shit.
So you've been waiting 10 hours for a crowbar that says Supreme.
Oh, I didn't even know it said Supreme. I just want a fucking crowbar.
But yeah, this one was obviously a very popular item when it came out. And so yeah, I thought it made a lot of sense to just create this as an all-over print pattern and do it on a work shirt. Obviously, to make this was really simple. I just found the crowbar on Google. Let me know if you guys want to see like a behind the scenes of like how I made all these pieces. I can get into that if you'd like. Yeah, really simple to make this pattern, and then just found a Supreme work shirt, threw it over the top of that, and this is what you see. Really simple piece. I think this would sell pretty well even today. Obviously, Supreme is probably, I don't want to say died off, but it's definitely not as like hype as it once was, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But still, if you even look at today's drop, a lot of stuff has sold out. We obviously had highlight pieces like the Playboy Cardi tee and other things of that nature. But yeah, Supreme's still very much alive. And yeah, that was a piece I think would sell pretty well. Now, probably my most favorite of this whole collection was the Supreme football tee or jersey. So the reason I like this one so much is because conceptually, I used a football, like American football jersey to, as like the base. But then I actually put like soccer designs on it, kind of showcasing that whole, like, again, football is like soccer in the UK and pretty much everywhere else in the world except for the US. But this is really cool to do a football kit, but we have these soccer designs on it. So really like this very simple kind of soccer ball outline with the panels, the pentagons, and then we have this little red bars right here to help create some overlay so I can put the Supreme. I found this really cool font. I tried like 20 different fonts for the Supreme. Found this really cool script font. Also probably could have just done it myself, but was feeling lazy and then did this in 1994. Maybe could use a different font for that, but this was the year that Supreme was founded, I believe. And then the part I really liked the most was this little embroidery at the bottom that just says "Just fucking do it." I like this one because, again, it combines that Supreme and, I forgot to say, Nike ethos. So it brings those two together. Supreme and Nike, obviously, Supreme has a lot of just very much, they have a couple different mantras. I know they have like the whole fuck 'em thing, and then they have some others. And then Nike's Just Do It. So combine the two, just fucking do it. Feels very on brand as a collab for the two. And yeah, I think this is pretty fire. I'll be honest, I've not been the biggest fan of some of the jerseys they've done recently. If you look at the preview from the current season for the soccer jerseys, and even like the football jerseys, which I'm not like a fan of, like just football jerseys in general, but I think they could be doing a lot better. And so, yeah, I like this one a lot. I think it would sell well. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Moving on, we can go on to the Supreme Corteiz tank. Now, Supreme and Corteiz did collab. I think it's going on 2 years ago. So I guess technically 4 seasons, but 2 years ago. Really cool moment for Corteiz. Obviously, I'm a big fan of what Clint 419 has like built, and just really respect that whole kind of like hustle and vibe kind of culture he's dominated. And so yeah, this one combines both the Supreme, where it's based in New York, aesthetic. So we have the New York backdrop, and then Corteiz, if you don't know, really just ripped the Alcatraz Island logo for their logo. And so here we have this old image I found of like Alcatraz Island and people like getting onto it, I believe. So just kind of juxtaposition between the Corteiz or the Alcatraz Island, and then we have the New York backline or backdrop. And so yeah, could have done a little bit better to kind of blend them two together, but more or less this is what I came up with. And then if you don't know, Corteiz does sell a lot of just like these blank tanks. And so, or it's like small logo tanks. So I thought it was very appropriate for them. Also, Supreme does that Hanes every year. So you could also add in like Hanes. This could be like printed on a Hanes to really bring this whole like full circle. So it could be like a three-way collab. But yeah, I think it works in terms of just like the product design. Would it sell super well? I don't know. But again, I think it's a pretty cool idea. And one thing that I really tried to do with a lot of these, all the design like competitions or whatever, compilations that I do, and especially if I'm going to do like some type of collab between two brands, is think about what I could bring from each of them to kind of not just slap two logos together, which is kind of what happened when they did the last collab. I mean, I know Corteiz has done that for a lot of the recent collabs. It'll just be like X brand name rules the world. So I guess it like kind of makes sense, but I feel like there'd be a little bit more done there. I feel like the Denim Tears collab, Denim Tears, I forget. You literally just see it's like their two logos together, like the Corteiz Alcatraz logo and then the cotton wreaths around it. So yeah, I feel like a lot of these collabs could be done with a little bit more intentionality in the design aspect. But again, at the end of the day, they're just trying to move product. So like, again, that's just the game. All that to say, I feel like this one at least brings something from each of them and doesn't just feel like we're slapping two logos together. Moving on, we have the Supreme Opium Sherpa jacket. Now, obviously, Opium has been pretty big over the last 2 to 3 years. Not the drug, but the music label, fronted by Playboi Carti and then featuring others like Ken Carson and others alike. Here is the updated logo you can see here. It used to be kind of like an asterisk symbol, I believe. Now it's just like almost like two. When you really look at them, they're kind of like almost like Nike swooshes that are kind of diagonal from each other, and then it's like the Opium custom like font or whatever, kind of very condensed. So for the idea behind this is I really just took that logo with the creates the O, the two Nike swoosh looking things, and I kind of then brought them out and inverted them and created this like Sherpa pattern. So it kind of does look like Nike swooshes again, but yeah, I think this looks really cool. It's a cool concept. I think it would like work pretty well. I think this could definitely be brought to life pretty well. And then you have the Opium logo on one side and Supreme on the other side, both embroidered. Probably could do a little something extra with the just logos on that, but I feel like this is a good example of like kind of slapping two logos together, but also we have like the really cool pattern created by the Opium. So yeah, I think this works well. You can also do this in like a different like heavier puffer jacket maybe or other type of garments, but I think it works well on the Sherpa fleece. But moving on, we have the Supreme CDG polka dot box logo hoodie. Now, this has kind of already been done before. And so my whole idea with the Supreme CDG is I was trying to look at past things that they have done and just kind of build on them. So Supreme has already done the backwards box logo. And they did like the backwards like crunched kind of box logo. And they've already done like the polka dot box logo, I believe. I'm pretty sure they have. So the addition that I made to this one is literally just like cracking and splitting the box logo was like the addition, and then kind of adding that backwards, adding the backwards kind of crunched split box logo on top of the polka dot hoodie. And yeah, I think it's pretty far. I think that'll work pretty well. Obviously, all of the Supreme CG collabs, especially the box logos, have them pretty well historically. This would be no different. But yeah, it's really just trying to figure out like what little thing can I add to it that would like just again elevate it and bring it something new. Because a lot of the Supreme CG collabs, from what I did a lot of research, it's a lot of these like subtle, nuanced, again, like design aspects, qualities, whatever you want to call them, that were added to them to kind of just like ever so slightly differentiate them from previous ones. Like we had that Supreme CDG collab where it was like the box logo was like slightly off-centered. So again, there are all these like really minuscule things. They're not doing like some crazy out of the box like insane ideas to them. They're all these like very simple design again, like qualities, whatever you want to call them, like differences, like adjustments that they made. So this one was literally as simple as just like cracking that and splitting the box logo and then doing all the other things to combine it. And moving along with this one, I also did a plaid version of this. So I guess it's kind of a cop-out that I did pretty much for one of the pieces. I just did like two separate like colorways essentially and counted it for two separate ones. But this one, I just really like the idea of doing like a plaid hoodie with the same concept on it. Again, I don't think they've done like a plaid box logo, so I think it'd be a cool concept. I know this season we're getting like the real tree camo, so it looks like they're finally expanding to some other things. But yeah, I think this looks super fire. I would totally wear this. I love not a super big plaid wear. I mean, besides like plaid flannels, but I think this would go pretty crazy. But moving on, we have the Supreme Junior backpack. Now, the idea behind this one was I was doing some research on some old Junior CDG pieces, and there was this one where hopefully I'll just like overlay it right here. But there was this one where it shows they did this series where I think it was like on T-shirts and some other garments. They had this like text that came across like in different ways, just like I have it here on the backpack. They all said this one quote. I'm completely blanking on what it said, but it was something like nothing compares to, and then it said something. I think they each said something different. So I had this same idea to just take that existing idea and just say nothing compares to Supreme, because it's pretty on brand for something like Supreme would say throughout their garments. And then instead of doing it on like a T-shirt or any type of like clothing garment, I did it on these backpacks. Maybe could have done some like cooler colorways. Like I'm not the biggest fan of this green looking at it again. But yeah, I think it's a pretty cool concept, and I think that again this works pretty well to bring together something that was existing done by Junior CG and then bringing it with Supreme, putting it onto a backpack instead, and then doing this whole nothing compares to Supreme, doing it with all these different shades of like red and a bit of white. Yeah, I think it works pretty well. Again, conceptually, that's something that I like to do a lot in design. Is I try and be very like methodical and trying to do like research on a lot of things I do to kind of again bring together, especially if we're doing like a fictional collab. Like if I was somehow the creative director of Supreme, like this is like something I would want to bring together instead of just again slapping two logos together. That's like the thing I hate the most about a lot of the collabs that we see in streetwear and fashion today. Next up, we have the Supreme Wrap Sweater. Pretty ironic I just said that because this is about as close as we'll get to that. Again, this is a pretty iconic wrap sweater if you've seen it before. It just says this little like half heart, not embroidered but raised on the knit sweater, and then it says love and then New York generally right here. But instead of New York, we have Supreme, we have SUP. I think this makes sense because obviously Supreme is based in New York, so there's that aspect to it. And yeah, I could have done the best in Photoshop of creating this kind of raised element. It looks a little bit more like embroidery, but that's neither here nor there. Again, pretty simple concept, and yeah, I think this would probably break the internet if it actually happened, because I don't know if we'd see a Supreme Raft collab like this. So yeah, cool concept. I'm pretty happy with it. And then I think the last one I have before the accessories is the Supreme A24 box logo. Now, in 2025, this is probably be like the peak of like hype beast we would get. Obviously, the whole like hype beast culture and what that even like means and things like that have kind of like, you know, really kind of waned over the last like 5 years. Obviously, like Supreme like resell is nowhere near what it once was. People used to like pretty much be able to make like a full-time living off of that stuff. Yeah, taking two just massive IPs, taking Supreme and then A24, the biggest indie movie filmmakers out there, everyone, you know, all like the young kids, you know, from yeah, pretty much everyone just loves like A24 movies, of course, because they're so again just like really methodical and creating stuff that doesn't feel like it's been done before, whether it is a movie like Uncut Gems or Midsommar or Hereditary or more recent like Bring Her Back or things of that nature. They're all super fire. I'm a big fan of pretty much all the ones I've seen a good amount. And so, yeah, I don't know if we'd ever see a Supreme A24 collab, but this was pretty much the idea I had for it, was to do the Supreme logo, but instead do it the SUP again in that sort of A24 style, where you have the first and third letter. The first one has, like, on the A, it has this little line coming to the left, kind of like you see right here. And then on the third letter, you have the P going like that. That's exactly how the A24 logo looks. And then we have the A24 logo. I would just embroider on the hood. So yeah, I think this would also break the internet. I would totally buy one of these. I've actually never owned a box logo. I flipped a handful in high school, but yeah, I've never actually bought and kept one. So this would be the one. I might buy one from this season. I'm not really sure yet. But yeah, I really like this a lot. I think it's a cool concept, even though it's, again, pretty like hype beasty. And then lastly, we have the accessories. So I'll go quick fire through this. Starting out from the top left, we have Supreme Evian. For the instead of the Swiss Alps, we have the little like, again, just like New York skyscrapers. It's really hard to portray specifically New York, so I just found a couple like skyscraper portrayals and kind of did that. So we have the Supreme New York. Then we have the Supreme Red Bull. Red Bull, pretty much my favorite drink because it gives me wings and feel like I can fly. So love my Red Bull. Would definitely stock up on this. This is the funniest one, the Supreme Traffic Cone, because this is actually dropping. I went through the accessory list when it dropped, like 2 days ago. And I was curious to see if any of these ones I'd come up with like were actually on there. And sure enough, the Supreme traffic cone, like literally this exact one, just done in a different color. I don't know why I can't zoom in anymore. My laptop. Okay. So the Supreme traffic cone is actually releasing in a white traffic cone with red text. So yeah, pretty cool to see like one of the ideas I had because I designed all this back in the last like 2 months. And so yeah, pretty cool to see that one actually come to life. Then we have the Supreme corn on the cob holders. Being someone from Indiana, I'm born and raised and lived my whole life. Eat a lot of corn. Obviously, I live literally right across from live right across the street from where a shit ton of crops are being grown. So yeah, eat a lot of corn. This makes a lot of sense. Then we have the Supreme Rubik's Cube. I'm pretty sure this one's been kind of people have made their own like mock-ups of this one before, but again, I think it'd be a pretty cool accessory, even though I don't know how to solve a Rubik's Cube. Then we have the Supreme Logitech mouse, literally because I use this mouse every day, and it's my favorite mouse. It only costs me like $20. So yeah, Supreme Logitech, easy. Supreme shin guards. Now, I did a lot of research into the existing sports stuff that already existed. I wanted to do something that was more like in the fighting boxing world, just because like I feel like it's very on brand for Supreme. They already have done boxing gloves. They've done like the mat. They've done they might have done a punching bag. I can't remember. They've done a ton of stuff there. My actual sport has been soccer my whole life. So I was like, okay, let's do something. Thought about doing cleats. I was like, I don't know if anything really works that well. So then why not do shin guards? And yeah, I think it's pretty on brand for one of those accessories where it's like, why does it exist? But again, a lot of Supreme accessories, like half of them are just like cool to just own. Like I have Supreme tennis balls in my closet that I haven't ever like taken out. I mean, I play like tennis like every once in a while. I do enjoy it. But I have like Supreme Wilson tennis balls, like, because I bought them when I was 16 and I thought it looked cool and I just have them. And so I think it's one of those things with like, I have Supreme shin guards, right? And like, probably aren't even going to use them, right? I think it's one of those accessories. The other ones right here, we have the Supreme Fuck 'em coasters. Again, they've used this. I don't remember who exactly did the original design of this because this has been around for a while. But yeah, pretty on brand for them. And it's pretty cool coasters, especially for my Red Bull. Hopefully give me a Supreme Red Bull. Side note, I hope to one day get sponsored by Red Bull, so I'm manifesting that right now. Then we have the Supreme windshield wipers. This one came about because I just replaced my windshield wipers like maybe about a month ago. And so yeah, I was just brainstorming a lot of ideas. This is how this started. Was just the accessories was kind of fun. So just brainstorming like anything and everything. I was looking in my room, looking just everywhere, like what can be done with a red, what can be turned red and then have a little Supreme logo on it, right? And to my shock, well, not really shock, but unfortunately, like a lot of stuff had already been taken that I wanted to do. But yeah, windshield wipers was one. I was like, I'm pretty sure they'd never done that, and I looked and they haven't. So there's that. Then we have Supreme dental floss. The reason I did this was because I actually wanted to do toothpaste, and they just recently did toothpaste, I believe. So there's that, Supreme dental floss. Supreme Twizzlers. Twizzlers is by far, if you know me, my favorite candy. It's not even close. I love Twizzlers. Could eat them all day. I think I actually have some right here. Now, unfortunately, these are the cherry kind, which like I don't mind, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got you the." Some people would just like literally like gift them to me. I think those were actually still for my birthday, like 3 weeks ago. So, they'll give me the cherry ones because they're being like thoughtful, and I get it. So I'm not against it, but nothing's better than just the traditional strawberry original Supreme Twizzlers. Yeah, Supreme Twizzlers would be cool. Supreme hot air balloon. Every season they do is like really out of the box, like crazy accessories that are like high 5 to maybe even 6-figure kind of retail price that like they make like 10 to 100 of. We've seen stuff like the Supreme pinball machine. I think this season we have a Supreme golf cart. So Supreme hot air balloon feels pretty on brand. Yeah, something they would make, and it would cost, I don't know how much money that costs, but definitely something they would do, I think, and probably will do one day. Then we have the Supreme hand flare. I'm not entirely sure why, but I just feel like it kind of on brand and makes sense. Supreme Expo marker, again, one of those like very simple accessories. They have a lot of stuff that they do that can be used like your everyday life. So yeah, Supreme Old Spice, again, just made sense because Old Spice already has like the red branding, so just kind of a no-brainer. Then we have the Supreme Ring Pop, probably the worst design by me on this whole thing. I was horrible on the finding a comparable font and then doing this in Photoshop. This does not look that clean, but Supreme Ring Pop makes sense. Probably my favorite one I'm most proud of is the Supreme Milwaukee Fuel Power Tool. This is a nail gun, and this is simply because of the fact that It's like can be used like in a violent manner. And I wanted to do something that was kind of like that Supreme aesthetic. I was fortunate enough when I went to LA back in November of last year that I actually got to meet the Supreme Creative Director of Accessories. I don't know exactly his title, but it's pretty much what he does. Flies all over. His name was Wes Anderson, I think his name. And he was talking about how the very first Supreme accessory they ever did was box cutters, literally because it was like a way for like kids to like defend themselves. So like that's very much in their DNA. So I thought it was really cool to do like a power tool. I just got done watching The Wire for the first time. Super good show, and I believe it's in the final season where they use a lot of nail guns to board up houses. But also, I'm pretty sure they like killed a handful of people with the nail guns. So yeah, I thought it was like pretty cool to just like have something like that. Even though it's like obviously hopefully not used for those intentions, but just again feels really rooted in that like brand DNA. And then we have the Supreme Birdhouse. This one was also like pretty lazily done by me, but yeah, again, I was looking for like red objects and things like that, and I somehow, some way, got into a birdhouse, found one that was like red, and then just put like the big white S logo on it, and yeah, that's pretty much all we have for the accessories. There was a lot that got cut. There's a lot of accessories that I really don't want to show you guys, so we'll leave it at that. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I created for this little mock-up collection. Yeah, that's pretty much all I had for you guys today. Sorry if you have been a long-term subscriber or fan of the channel and I have been really bad about posting. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get back to it. I'm really trying to figure out like where I want to take this next direction from. I know the first couple months I really went hard into like small clothing brand stuff, and now I'm really trying to like expand and do some other things. I want to do more business content. I want to still do more fashion content. So please let me know what you guys want to see. We'll obviously be doing more of these monthly competition type monthly. I need to stop calling competition monthly compilation type stuff. Let me know if you want to see more like BTS, like how I created like each of these specifically in Photoshop and or Illustrator. And just any questions you guys might have for me. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Let me know what other brands or artists you want me to do this for to kind of just showcase my creativity. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.